Welcome to Great Primer, a weekly show that's mostly about miniatures. My name is Nick, I'm your host, and in this episode, well, it's time to unbox and build one that almost got away. It's Kill Team Rogue Trader. Many of the miniatures I feature on this channel I haven't actually paid for. That doesn't sound right, but I'll explain. I have a few friends who really hate building miniatures. All they want to do is paint them or game with them. So they've discovered this great solution in that they can send all of their kits to me. They know I'm going to unbox them and build them for the channel. Then I bubble wrap them all up, ship them back to them, and everyone's a winner. And I completely appreciate just how fortunate I am to be in this position. And there are days where I feel especially lucky, and this is one of them. Now, this is a kit that was out a couple of years ago, and it was packed full of the coolest Nurgle miniatures I'd ever seen, and I was promised at the time that these would be released in a separate kit. And that never happened. The Gellerpox Infected never appeared as a separate kit. The Rogue Trader expansion just went out of print, and that was it. I figured, well, missed opportunity, some of the best Nurgle miniatures ever. And then fast forward to a friend contacting me and saying, I've got a few things here to build. I've been sitting around for a while. One of them is, I think, a kill team thing, but I know the new thing's coming out and you probably want to do that instead. And I was like, whoa. Which kill team thing? And he's like, I think there's Nurgle. I think I dropped my phone at that point. But hey, I don't want to wait any longer. I want to get this cracked open, get stuck into all this Nurgle-y goodness, and share it with you. Back in a sec. It's got the old Warhammer logo on it here. You can often tell just by a glance of how long these kits have been around. And then you can probably locate some copyright details on it. I think this one is 2018. It's just tucked away down here. But look at the art on the front here. Look at this firefight that's going on, that this huge chaos creature is just absorbing all of these rounds as they try everything to stop it in its tracks. And then up in the corner here you see the box contents. This does not include the core rules, so you gotta buy the Kill Team core manual to use the contents of the box. So I'm sure there were a few people who purchased this and then realized that they had to go out and spend a little bit more money. But hey, let's get this open. What a beautiful sight. Look at this. And color-coded as well, so you can tell which one's the Nurgle team, which ones are sort of the Rogue Trader team. And then this stuff over here is all scenery. And look at this. It's just cracker looking. I have been dying to get my hands on these miniatures. And look at the detail in that. It is so disgusting. It is so beautiful. I can't wait to get these built. Look at the tentacles and the suckers and all of that grossness and spiky contagion. How can you not love that? Now we go over into the Rogue Trader sprue, and these look mostly built. It really doesn't look like there's a huge amount to do on that sprue. A bit of cleanup, maybe some mold lines, but it looks ready to go. I wonder, are these push fit? And the detail on this scenery is nothing short of ornate. That is glorious looking stuff. I have not seen any of that before, and I've built a lot of scenery. And then a duplicate sprue of that first scenery one. Very cool. Bunch of bases here, look like 25 mils and then maybe 40 mils. Play cards. Divider to keep the manuals and stuff protected from the spiky sprues, and you can see the damage those sprues have done here. And then underneath we've got like tokens and the game tiles and the rules as well. But I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get my hands on some plastic, get these miniatures built up, and get them right back in front of you. See you soon. And here it all is, or at least most of it. These bits over here to the right hand side, I just showed you one of each of those. There are multiples of the likes of the drop pods and this chair and this terminal, the chest, the doors here, and then this piping as well. And I'll have a good look at those now in a sec. And then we have the Elucidian Starstriders here, and then we're into the Gellerpox Infected all the way across to here. So let's check out these little doors. Let's start with the exciting stuff. The doors are nicely crafted. There's a decent amount of detail in there. I've had doors in Warhammer 40,000 sets in the past where there's just been a horrendous amount of cleanup, but these weren't so bad. And they're nicely detailed at the back. You can see the entire opening mechanism there. And then on this side you get some marks of the mechanicum. But no, pretty cool. The likes of this piping, this just comes in 2 parts, and you get 2 of these sets within it. The chests are nice as well. There's nice ornamentation around them here. You can actually see the lock and everything there. And you can probably use these in a lot of games just to add that little bit of set dressing. These terminal stands have a nice level of detail, a couple of cool monitors there. I like the seat pads in this chair, and the whole thing is pretty cool. Like a captain's chair. You can get the big Aquila on the back of it there. And then the drop pods are pretty neat. There was an option, I think, to have these open, but I didn't really see the benefits of that. They weren't particularly detailed inside, so I just left them all glued shut. And now we move on to the Elucidian Starstriders. But let's start with Larsen van der Graus here. And there's a nice steampunk aesthetic to these. Overly ornate weapons and power pack systems. They do come across as kind of being pretty fancy looking. You know, there's a lot of ornamentation, a lot of embroidery details and things on their clothing. They look pretty good. I like the pose on this, very classic sci-fi kind of action hero pose. Got the las pistol out, the las rifle slung over the back there, and this is one of the Voidsmen. You get a few of these, the sort of the standard troops, but no repeat sculpts, which is a good thing. Things take a turn for the fancy with this next one. This is Elucia Vhane, and really, I do like the feathers and everything coming out of the hat. I'm not sure about the face veil, but then we're into really ornate, I guess, steampunk kind of look and stuff. I don't want to overuse the phrase steampunk because I'm not really sure I understand what steampunk is, but this feels like what I think it is. But I like the holstered pistol there, the sword on the hip. There's a real confidence that this is a prolific warrior. It's just a little hit and miss for me design-wise. Yet another one of these classic sci-fi poses or action hero poses with a las pistol out there. I'm not sure about the shotgun trigger discipline here. The finger is right in there into the trigger guard and this thing's pointing at the sky. But a really nicely sculpted miniature. Not quite as ornate with Knosso, but still no shortage of detail. A really interesting face mask. There's a decapitated head with the tongue lolling, being gripped by the hair. The sword up here is just glorious. You can get a little snake at this end here. And I think one of the best looking miniatures in the set so far. Next up we have a heavy weapons specialist here. This beautifully belt-fed minigun. And I think great detail in the face of this character too. What I really like about this one, apart from the weapon, is this very cool detail of this, looks like a warthog or something, or a boar on the shoulder pad there. But beautifully sculpted, a really cracking looking miniature. I skipped over the last of the Voidsmen there because it's very similar to the others, and I've gone straight on to Sanistasia Minst, the medic of the crew. And there's a bunch going on in this miniature. Unconventional healing methods there. Kind of reminds me of a pain boy from the orcs. But a more elegant version, let's say. And finally, we have a really nice Doberman Pinscher miniature here. This dog is called Aximilian. But I think just a really well sculpted mini and a great representation of a Doberman. And now we're into the Gellerpox Infected. And these 6 here are all just listed as curse mites. Now, they look like supersized fleas or some other type of parasite, and they are just miserable looking creatures. While the curse mites are very similar, these eye stinger swarms and the sludge grubs are very different. And you can see here how they've sort of represented all of these in flight while still being able to stick them onto a base. And quite a few more in this miniature, and it does look like they're flying out of a Voidsman's helmet down there. They look great, they've got tattered wings, they're designed to make you feel uncomfortable. And this one more than most. We've got skeletal remains on the ground, and then an absolute swarm. There must be close to 100 individual flies coming out of this thing. It is just graphic, and it is brilliant. And what I really like about this part of the Gellerpox Infected, these mites, the swarms, the grubs, is this is a much closer representation of what it would be like to fight against Nurgle. You know, those battlefields would be choked with bugs. It would be such an unpleasant place to make war, and I think that this is great to see them in this kit. And I know I've mentioned it before that there should be a lot more servitors, a lot more servo skulls represented in kits for Warhammer 40,000, especially dealing with the Imperium. I think that every time Nurgle take to the field, every time there's a Nurgle kit, there need to be bugs. The final one is especially disturbing. It's so gooey. It's all sticky to the ground here, and you could put some of that, what's it called, Nurgle's Rot in to get that shiny, yellowy green sort of grossness coming out of this. But you can even see at the back where the flesh is ripped, it's just full of maggots. This is such cool stuff. And I'm sorry, but it's probably also deeply disturbing. This is one of the 2 sludge grub miniatures that comes in the kit, and this guy on the left, he's just munching down on somebody's decapitated head. And then the second of the grubs, it's just a single grub on this base, but you can see some of the spikiness on the back and some of the pustules and things, and a much better look at the mouth parts underneath there and all the goo and dribble that's coming out of that thing. And then we get 3 of these sort of standard troops of the Gellerpox Infected, and there's some really, really nice details here. You can see the mutation on the right arm there, that massive claw, and the left arm he's holding this improvised weapon with this spinny, spiky thing. There's signs of infection all over, there's tattered clothing, the bloated stomach. I'm not sure about the headpiece and the crest here, but the rest of it is pretty cool. The next one has had the right hand removed and replaced with a sickle, and it is bolted on in the most rudimentary way. Again, I'm not sure about the facial features. It kind of a little bit of a miss for me, but the rest of it is magnificent. Swollen belly, kind of a withered away right leg here, and then the left leg is completely swollen, the left arm as well, absolutely just bulbous, and it looks like it's about to pop. And I think this must have been a sculptor's Easter egg to see how many people would spot it, but there's a tiny ear sticking out of the foot there. Hopefully you can just about see it. The gifts of Papa Nurgle. You gotta love it. This guy is hefting a massive fire axe. He's got a tentacle holding onto it here. He's lacking a hand. There's another tentacle coming out of his stomach to try and help. The face mask, the helmet there, this one's slightly better, but still not quite my taste for Nurgle. And the rest of it is pretty cool, though. You know, there's lovely detail on the legs and everything. This one's kind of broken over by the looks of things. And exposing himself slightly at the back there, but you know, just lovely details throughout, and I think that'd be a dream to paint. And then we're into the glitchlings, and I think this is glorious. He's got the little tentacle, he's rocking the whole mini Cthulhu thing, and he's carrying a wooden sword. I'm sure he's not very friendly, and I'm sure he smells pretty terrible, but from a distance he looks pretty adorable. A lot less adorable is this one, who's got a broken bottle and he looks like he's about to get stabby. But another great little glitchling. So these 2 are merged together. I'm not sure if they are from one creature or 2 that got too close while Papa Nurgle was handing out some gifts. But they look like this now. And somebody has has nailed tiny little eyebrows onto both of them. I don't know if you can see those. But they just add such comedic character that you gotta love that sculptor, whoever decided to do that. The last one's had a similar eyebrow treatment and has an eyebrow treatment. Uh, and has this cool antler helmet on as well, or head, I'm not sure. It's probably its head. And finally, let's head over into the big guys of Nurgle. These absolute gargantuan Gellerpox Infected. And this is Vulgrar the Thrice-Cursed, and is definitely one of the marquee figures of this set. And this thing just looks amazing. Look at this drill and everything he's got going here in his left hand. There's just so much. The bolted together leg construction here, a lot of mechanical elements and augmentation. The furnace that's burning in his stomach, and the 3 heads. I'm guessing that's the thrice-cursed part. But this thing is magnificent. This thing should be available to everyone. And I think anyone who plays Blood Bowl would love to have this as like a Nurgle ogre or something like that. That type of thing for their teams. Because there's a lot of this stuff that you could easily modify for Nurgle Blood Bowl. Nashor Screamer took a long time to build, not because it was complicated, but because there was so much detail I kept stopping what I was doing to just stare at it in wonder. Look at all the mouths and the stomach there. There's faces coming out of the elbow and the shoulder. Every single time I have looked at this, I have noticed additional details. This thing is just incredible. It is just an absolute masterclass in monster sculpting, and I love it. The face actually reminds me of Slain MacRoth from 2000 AD when he's warping out. And I think the body does as well. This would work quite well as a Slain figure. Maybe not all of the screaming mouths and stuff in the stomach, but it's pretty close. And then we're into the last couple here, and these are both Nightmare Hulks. This one's called Big Spike. I don't know why, but yeah. Look at that arm. I mean, seriously. But while you're looking at this arm, don't forget to look at the fact that he has a huge fly for a right arm. Like, what is going on? Who thinks this stuff up? Why does he have dog tags? Why is there just a random piece of cloth like hammered into this huge horn up here in his left shoulder? I have so many questions. But this is magnificent. What a great figure. And the last figure we're looking at here is the second of the Nightmare Hulks, and this is the Writher. Of course it is. Another little nod to Cthulhu here, lots of tentacle action going on, this massively distended belly, and there's actually somebody trying to escape out of it. I can't even, honestly. And look at that face. Not sure about the head cowl. Looks a bit executionary for me, and I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I'd really prefer to have seen his full face. Well, maybe that's not what I really need to see. But it's a small thing, really, and it's not going to put me off the miniature at all. Especially when right beside that head is, yeah, that's a harpoon sticking right down through his shoulder there. Barnacles, fish hooks. Magnificent. And that brings me to the end of the Rogue Trader kill team. And for me, the Starstriders, I could live without them. I don't think they need to reprint those. But these Gellerpox Infected, this single sprue of just wonderful green, it is one of the coolest sprues that Citadel Miniatures, that Warhammer have ever sculpted, that have ever committed to plastic. It is just phenomenal stuff. And it's such a shame that it's not available as a separate kit. The bugs alone are so thematically consistent with what Nurgle should be on the battlefield. And then the rest of these cool little glitchlings, and then these big dudes, the Big Spike, Writher, Nashor Screamer, and Vulgrar Thrice-Cursed. Think of those in your Warhammer 40,000 army coming out on the battlefield. They just, right alongside like Death Guard and stuff, these things would look phenomenal. Or converted onto something like a Blood Bowl pitch. Like, just fantastic. It would be a real shame to not have this available in the future, in some shape or form. But thank you so much for watching. On the next episode, I'm going to go back in time a little bit to the Age of Sigmar. I'm going to look at Ogres versus the Ossiarch Bone Reapers in the Feast of Bones big box set. And I'd love for you to join me as I check that out. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. And until the next time, take care and bye-bye.